Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday and happy heat wave to those of you in the UK. I know, Mackenzie, you are LA based, is that right?
Yes, I am.
Yes. And
Yep.
you are not, we've taken the sun from you
That's right. We've
this
got
week.
May gray right now. That's what we call
May
it. So it's cold and
gray.
gray. Yeah. And
Yeah,
relatively
we
cold. Yeah.
we have got, I'm lucky, I was just bragging in our speaker room to Mackenzie that I live in an apartment with aircon. But I know past me would be enraged because trying to get through London or UK humid heat with just a tiny fan is not an easy job at all. So those of you who are in the UK, thoughts and prayers. You got this. We've only got a few more days and then it's going to rain for the next week so we can get through
Oh,
it together.
no.
We're at the end of May, which means we are at the end of month of marketing, and we have had three webinars so far this month, all of which I've enjoyed equally. I don't have a favourite. I've loved each and every second of each and all of them. But those of you who are joining us live in the chat, I would love to know how many you may have attended this month. Did you come to one? Have you ticked off three? Is this your fourth? How many have you tuned in for? And, biasly, if you did have a favourite, I'd be really curious to know what that is. So let us know in the chat. But today we are wrapping up Month of Marketing, our Unpopular Opinions webinar series. And right, I know I said I didn't have favourites, but I feel we may have saved the best
I love
until
that.
last.
I love that.
I am joined today by the wonderful Mackenzie, who is a star, and I don't want to steal your introduction because you can explore and explain everything you do much better than I. So, Mackenzie, for anyone who doesn't know who you are and what you do, can you give us an introduction?
Sure. So I am Mackenzie Kassab. I work at Rare Beauty as our Director of Creative Strategy. So on a day-to-day basis, that really means looking at what we want to communicate with our consumers, our community, from a brand level and also a product level, and trying to translate that into campaigns. So, campaign messaging, taglines, all the way down to the messaging that you see when you walk into a store and see our products or go on our website or our social media.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How long have you been in your current role?
I have been in this role for about 2.5 years, but my background is very non-linear. It's a very strange, weird background. I always tell anyone, my unsolicited advice for anyone early in their career or really at any point in their career is to always say yes to opportunities that come up because you never know, as long as they seem interesting, to take those. I started off in public relations for beauty brands, and I thought that was going to be it. I knew exactly 30 years from now what I would be doing, and ended up through a strange life events and twists and turns of fate. I ended up in another country, working in editorial. Came back to the US and worked on branded content stuff, moved back into beauty as a copywriter, and now I'm in this role that kind of takes all of those experiences and puts them together in one kind of dream role, which is why I say, the linear career path is fantastic and it works for some people, sure. But for me, it was gaining all those different bits of experience and those sort of unusual experiences and seeing how they all came together in the end to what feels to me like the perfect role right now.
I love that. That's so special. And there are so many people I speak to who are at a more senior level in their career who it's like hindsight's your best friend, isn't it? And being able to look back and be like, you know what, that role sucked. But if I
Yeah,
didn't do that, I wouldn't have learned this, and then I couldn't do
I
this.
think it's the
So
same with boyfriends, even the worst ones, you take something away from it, you learn
true.
something, what not to do next time or what role not to accept next time.
Yeah,
And you always learn something.
absolutely. You got to trust the process.
Exactly. Yep.
Can you tell us firstly a little about Rare Beauty for those that haven't seen the brand? around?
Yeah, so Rare Beauty is Selena Gomez's beauty brand, and it's all based on beauty that makes people feel good. That's the bottom line, is we want to create a community where everyone feels included and where the products are usable for everyone and they're easy and they work with whatever look you want to create. So it really is about creating this welcoming space where everyone feels like they belong.
Gorgeous. And now on to today's topic, which is all things Substack.
Love it.
I have been a Substack lurker and reader maybe for about a year, so a bit of a Substack baby, to be honest, and launched our PLM Substack in February, which has been quite the learning experience. So I'm very excited to learn from you as the
Relatable, yeah.
expert today. Mackenzie, can you tell us a little bit about the Rare Beauty Substack, what it is, what it covers? What
Yeah.
does it feel like to read compared to your other channels?
The goal with this, so everything we do, we have our brand pillars, which is people, our community, purpose, mental health, and product, which is the beauty products. So that kind of guides, excuse me, everything we do. And when we set up this Substack, we were looking at content the same way. It's like the content that we want to create has to fit into one of these buckets. Beyond that, the idea was very much we want to give people access to this brand that they wouldn't get on one of our other platforms or anywhere else. So that's really the premise. And in terms of what it feels like, I always say that, when you're like in your 20s and you're in a club and you go to the bathroom and you meet a girl and you're like, oh my God, I love your lipstick. And she's like, here, take it, you can borrow it. And then you're like, you're so pretty. No, you're so pretty. That whole thing. That's the feeling that we want to create with every newsletter on this Substack. So in that moment, we want everyone to feel like they have that connection, that we're all in this bathroom together, sharing our secrets or sharing information or hyping each other up, whatever it is. So that's sort of the feeling that we want to give. And again, it's really creating that feeling through those three subjects that we tackle: our community,
Yeah,
people, purpose, and product.
I see that. I feel that. I think Rare Beauty Substacks may be one of the few brands that I do follow and read on the platform. And I feel like you guys kind of pioneered it, like maybe one of the first on there.
I think we were one of the earlier beauty brands for sure. And it all happened super organically. We've talked about this, like how this came up, which it was, we used to sit around. I mean, this happens all the time here because there's so much going on at this brand between our mental health initiatives and products. And again, like the interesting people in our orbit, that I would sit in on meetings and be like, this is so interesting. Like, it's so unfortunate that people don't know about this. Or, how can we share this? And it's like, well, it doesn't really work for a TikTok or a D2C email where conversion is really like the driving factor. So we were kind of just, it always came up, like we have all these interesting things to share, but like nowhere to share them. Coincidentally, a lot of us around the same time got on Substack and we all found our own niches. Like all of us in the office are interested in very different things. You have like the fashion girls, the finance girls, I like history, so I'm looking at the history ones. So we all found our different niche, and then it was kind of this light bulb moment of like, wait a minute, this is almost like a blogging platform, and we have all these interesting stories. What if we used this platform for that? And luckily, with my background, that was something that I could take on in addition to what I normally do day to day. So having that editorial background, the writing background, it felt like a good fit. And I was super passionate about it. So I kind of volunteered, like, I would love to do this. And that was how it came to be. It was really it really was a light bulb moment of like, wait a minute, we have interesting stories and here's a place where people want to read. Let's see if we can utilize it.
Yeah, I feel like the best this is the most obvious thing to say, but the best brand decisions are the obvious
Yeah. Yeah.
ones.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I love that. I know that when we first caught up, and what I really love about what you're sharing there as well is how you and the team identified that Substack can do something that your other brands don't.
Our other
I,
channels. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, other channels, yeah,
Yeah.
not other brands,
Yeah.
or the other ones. But I know that when we caught up, or you shared a little about how we feel, and you see many other brands coming to Substack to kind of just do what they do
Yeah.
everywhere else.
Yeah.
Now, I know that you mentioned that very early on in your Substack strategy, and when you were kind of testing and learning, that you were trying like makeup tutorials on there, things that felt like an obvious fit, but maybe
Yeah.
didn't fly the
Yeah.
way you thought that they would. Can you walk us through what happened? What's the story there? And
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, coming from editorial, I came into this very professionally, thinking I'm going to have a very strict editorial calendar. The day we launch, I've got 3 months of content mapped out. It's all very organized and timelines and deadlines. And what ended up happening is as we launched, I did what traditionally I've seen work in past experiences. So it's things like beauty tutorials, get ready with me's, but the landscape has changed quite a bit, and people can get things like tutorials and get ready with me's anywhere now. Influencers are doing it. That people have other resources that they're looking at and they feel really connected with. So to kind of jump in and be like, hey guys, we're the new expert. It just didn't land the way that we thought it would. People just were not that interested in that stuff. So I was lucky in that I had the support of everyone around me to scrap the entire thing and say, we're just going to go week to week and we're going to see what resonates. We're going to experiment. We knew going into it, we all went into this thinking, this is one great experiment. If it doesn't work, we don't have a ton of eyeballs on us at this point. I think I saw a statistic recently. It was like Substack has something like 5 million paid subscribers. That comparatively to like our Instagram or something, that's the whole of Substack paid subscribers is a much smaller community. So we felt like there weren't as many eyeballs on us. We could be a little experimental. And if it worked great. And if it didn't, then we would just sunset it and move on. So we started experimenting, and interestingly, like some of our mental health content is not our most popular content on other platforms. That is where makeup tutorials, for example, do really well. But we found that mental health content on this platform performs really well, and people are really interested in that. So it was looking at those things and really challenging our assumptions about what people want and what they're interested in. And even, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was the big branded blog thing that a lot of beauty brands were doing on their own .coms. And I think that very few brands did that well because brands treated it like a marketing play, and no one wants to feel like they're being marketed to if they're investing time in reading something. So it's just looking at it from that approach, and we've had to kind of adapt in that sense. But I will say, much to my happiness, I've now started a really strict editorial calendar. And I'm trying to really keep it organized because it's just so much work that trying to scramble. I worked at one point for Time Out in another country, Time Out magazine, the weekly magazine. I'm used to working at a fast pace, but it was a lot and it was very stressful. So having a little bit more planning was helpful. And now all of the cross-functional teams are like really into our Substack. And so teams that I don't have a lot of visibility on day to day because it's just not really part of my core role here will now come and say, hey, did you know we're doing this thing? Or I have this really interesting story. And that's how I'm kind of getting ahead now. So it's really just about listening to our community and responding essentially and having the flexibility to respond. So that's been the biggest learning, and also I think the most important the most important piece for us.
I did want to ask you about your editorial planks again. When we last spoke, I know you said that you guys only started the Substack last January. Is that right?
I think it was last April.
Oh
I
wow,
think.
so
Don't
just over
don't
a year
don't
ago.
quote me on that. But yeah, I think. Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
it's just a baby in Substack.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Wow.
we're still learning. That's why it's like I do have this editorial calendar, but I'm still seeing
Yeah.
feedback and we are still adjusting to that. So, I mean, it is still quite flexible. It's digital. So, there is more flexibility than, for example, print. But for my own sanity, trying to keep it a little bit, forward thinking is helping for sure.
Yeah. I'm actually I'm trying to do something similar, very smaller scale. At the moment, I'm
Yeah,
taking June away from public posting. So
amazing.
I could just spend the month like regathering my thoughts. What am I posting in August rather
Yeah.
than crap, what am I posting tomorrow? Um,
Yeah. And it's
so
important, I think, also just to step because it is that like not seeing the forest for the trees. Like you're just chasing that week to week thing, and sometimes you forget to take a step back and look at, big picture, what are we
yeah.
sharing, and big picture, what are we contributing to this community, and making sure that we're continuing to provide something of value to people. I think that's really important, and that's sort of what I'm trying to do too. Is there are certain things I can map out. I know of new launches, I know of events that are happening, so I can kind of slate in, even if it's not exactly what the content is going to be. It's like I know in June we're going to want to talk about this thing, um, and then I have gaps where it's like, hey, does anyone have anything interesting they think our community would like to know about? And then we go from there. So yeah, but I think that's important to take a step back sometimes and really
Me
just take a
too.
breath. Yeah.
And how refreshing to hear it as well from a brand like Rare that like your Substack is one incredible, but as a reader it feels so polished, obviously because it is, but how refreshing as a reader and hopefully for you guys as other marketers to know like, oh well, maybe it's chaos over
Oh, it
there.
is. Oh, I mean, I don't want to be dramatic, but a lot of times it is chaos. A lot of like, yeah, a lot of times it is chaos. Right now, I'm working on, we have this amazing mascara, and I'm working on how it came to be because there's an interesting story behind this doesn't sound interesting maybe but the claims testing. So for example, I heard from our product development team one day. They were like, well, we did like excessive clinical testing on this, and I was like, why would we do an abnormal amount of clinical testing on our mascara? And it was because we found early on in our own testing that it worked for every single lash type. And that's something, if you want to go out and say that, you need to test it on every lash type. And typically you test on one lash type. So that was an interesting story to me about our inclusivity and the fact that we want to be able to tell people this works for all lash types. We have tested it on every thin, thick, curly, straight, like it works on everyone. So that's something I'm working on. But right now, I am literally chasing Angela on our product development team. Poor thing, she's on vacation. And I'm like, hey, did the manufacturer get back to you with those early images of the prototypes? Because I think that our community would like to see those. So there is a lot of that like chaos piece to it too. A lot of following up, a lot of chasing bits and pieces and imagery and things like that. But yeah, trying to get a handle on it. And 2 years from now, hopefully it'll be a well-oiled machine. Who knows? But I think the beauty of it is also the ability to be flexible, you know,
Yeah, I
with something
agree.
where we're so close to our community to be able to respond in real time, I think is important.
Yeah. Do you post weekly? Do you have like a set cadence or what does that
We
look like?
do. We were told very early on from Substack, because I was like, oh, maybe I'll just post when I post, and
Yeah.
like, and they were very clear that they see the best engagement with regular postings at the same time. That, your community comes to expect it and rely upon it, and it kind of, and that's important. So we publish on Tuesday mornings, And there are times when, Friday afternoon I've got it scheduled, ready to go out, and there are times where Tuesday at 9:59 I'm still writing. So, you never know. But yeah, we publish weekly. I know that there is feeling internally that we would like to do more because, again, we feel like we have so much we want to say. But I think at this point, with our resources, we're going to stick to one a week for now.
I'm feeling that challenge
Yeah.
at the moment. Again, taking June away from my public posting, kind of trying to replan, re-strategize,
Yeah.
refine my routes for July onwards. And I feel so torn. And this isn't even on my question list, it's just me
Yeah.
in my own feels. I feel so torn between more frequent posting so I show up more regularly and I feel like you can build those consistent relationships
Yeah.
versus the quality of like bigger, chunkier pieces that go so much deeper.
Yeah.
And I feel like so many marketers and you guys watching probably resonate of that like back and forth between like audience and algorithm and figuring out where you sit,
Yeah.
how you ebb and flow between that. So
Yeah, I haven't
nice to
cracked
know it's
that
not
either, if
just
I'm being
me.
honest. I mean, that
Yeah.
is something, and that's part of it. Like when we're doing a last minute piece, sometimes it's going to be shorter because, it is what it is. And then there are other ones that I interview someone and they've just got so many amazing things to say that it's this long, and that's fine too. Um, but yeah, I feel you. I mean, I have not cracked that either.
Yeah. I, if anyone has, let
Yeah,
us know.
yeah,
Get in
please.
touch.
Yep.
I wanted to ask about making the decision to write as the brand versus Mackenzie from Rare Beauty.
Yeah,
I see quite a 50-50 split, not just on Substack, but like in the email communications that I receive from
yeah.
brands. How did you land on that? Was it even a conversation? And second part to that, like, do you think that matters?
Do I think it matters? Okay, this is a good question. The reason we did it, I mean, in a perfect world, Selena would be writing her thoughts, but that's not realistic with her schedule and everything. Um, and then it became more of, uh, it really, because of the nature of how it came about with us wanting to provide like sort of this insider point of view and sharing the things that people wouldn't see somewhere else. It was a conscious decision, and I think it came down to I did not want people to think about me. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's like I am not important in this equation. When you come onto our side, I didn't want it to be about me. My goal as a curious person who works in this organization, and I'm very involved in what I'm involved in, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't see. Product development, I'm not necessarily seeing all the bloopers that happen as things are being made or things like that. And so, but I'm still curious about them, and I figure our audience is probably curious too. So what I was aiming for was to sort of be this representative of our community, and I kind of want everyone, I hope that everyone sort of sees themselves in me, that I'm here, you ask the question, I will pass it on to the team, which I also do regularly. Like people will chat us questions or leave it in note comments, and I will go back and I'll ask Cynthia, our head makeup artist, for her tips. And, so there really is a lot of that. I see myself more as the messenger. I did not want someone to be distracted by me as a person because I'm irrelevant, I think. So that was that. In terms of whether it matters, I mean, I think it depends. You look at like a Crown Affair or something, and that's a founder-led newsletter, and it's incredible. She has a really strong point of view, and however she's doing it, the bandwidth to make it happen, that's not reasonable for every single brand. Like, it's just not a reality. So you've got to find a workaround sometimes. And for us, that workaround was me. And it was, but not me as a person, me as this sort of like representative of the community.
I really value that. I wrote a LinkedIn post, what feels like a trillion years ago, and I feel like it's something I speak about all the time. But I really see a future when it comes to how marketing and marketers and brands interact with their
Yeah.
audiences as brands as facilitators.
Yeah.
And I think that's what excites me so much about what you guys are doing, especially on your Substack, where
Yeah.
it's less look at us, buy this. Although obviously
Yes.
there's going to be goals and whatnot, and the products are
Of
integrated in
course.
their own
Yeah.
way, but rather hosting a conversation that people
Yeah.
can join. And
Yes.
I
It's a
wish
dialogue.
that's
Yeah.
my dream for more brands to wake up to.
I mean, it's so valuable for us too, because I mean, we learn so much about our community through this process. So, I mean, I always hope that we provide something of value to people, but we're also getting something back from it and being able to listen to our audience, which is important to us.
Absolutely. You have talked about sourcing ideas for your Substack content from places like your Instagram comments,
Yeah.
TikTok replies, and even your Sephora reviews as
Yeah.
well. Day to day, I'd be curious to know kind of what that process looks like who's collecting these, how are you collecting them, and how do you go from a comment
Yeah.
on a product page to like a finished Substack post?
This is embarrassing. So you know how some people wake up and like scroll TikTok and Instagram? I get up and I scroll Reddit. That's just that's just me. And so when I come into the office, like one of the first things I do is I look at Sephora reviews and I just look at what people are saying about the products. And I think that there's something very different when someone is commenting on a brand's social platform. There is the expectation that the brand is, you're speaking to the brand. There is the expectation that the brand is listening. When you're speaking on a Reddit or a Sephora review, you are speaking to other people in your community. There's no expectation that the brand is listening or cares about what you're saying. Um, and I mean this, excuse me, not in a creepy way, but like I want to be listening. I want to be hearing what people say when they don't think we're listening. What are the honest opinions? What are the honest things people are curious about? And that goes from like, I love this product so much, that might spark a how was this made? Because it's like people love this product and maybe we can just tell them a little bit more about it. But there are also examples where we have a powder blush that's like a highlighter blush, and it's incredibly fragile. It just is. And we've seen responses on Sephora reviews about how fragile it is and how delicate. We ended up doing a how this blush was made post in response to that, because the reality is, in order to get the texture, the finish, the payoff that you get with that formula, it needed to be incredibly finely milled pigments and pearl powders, and it just by nature is not a stiff formula, which means if you drop it on the floor, it could break. And that was just something we went back and forth with the manufacturer about, like, how can we change the packaging or change the formula? And ultimately, it was like it would either become exponentially more expensive because of a new package, or we would have to change the formula to something that doesn't give that payoff and that finish, and that experience, that really silky experience. So in the end, we decided that it was worth it to us, to keep that fragility, to have the experience and the finish that you get from that product. So that was something that we had seen people talking about online, and it was like, that was a perfect example of like, we should just tell people, we should explain why this is the way it's not that there's a mistake or whatever else. It's like, this was a conscious choice to be able to give you the formula that we think is different from everything else out there and is special and is really going to like change your makeup routine. So that's how we take that information and we translate it. I'm just always listening. And we also get notes and things and more direct things like, could you please, I'll occasionally do a like, is there anything you want to know more about, query, and people will respond. So there's a lot of that too, but it really is just looking at opportunities to give people more information or clarify things, or if someone's having trouble applying something, we'll add in tips or tricks for that. So yeah, I think it really is, like you said, a dialogue, and we're using those tools, which is reviews, Reddit, things like that, to listen, and then we're using Substack to respond.
That's fantastic. I don't know, I was either at uni or it was when I freelanced at the start of my career. I worked with amazing brands. I worked with like really cool senior marketers. And someone told me very early on, as a creator, as a social media marketer, you can never assume. You can never
Yeah.
assume you know what your audience wants. And it reminds me, I have a wonderful friend called Grace Andrews. She's a content creator. She's worked with some amazing brand. She's the coolest. And she was on my first ever year of this exact series, actually talking about something similar. And she said the simplest line that felt so radical at the time, and it was just that if you want to learn more about your audience, you simply just have to spend time with them.
Yeah.
Just go and find
Yeah.
them, be with them, and listen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a great example of don't assume is assuming that people would want makeup tutorials.
Yeah,
Like that was my assumption. That was wrong. So, being able to listen and to pivot, I think is so important, whatever your role is in your brand.
absolutely. I think I read in one of your many incredible interviews when I was preparing for our session and getting our agenda together, that you shared that your gut check for each piece of content and everything that you share is, does this make people feel good? Is it interesting? And does it add value beyond selling something?
Yeah.
Which I think is actually quite like interesting for a brand to say out loud, especially in the marketing space.
Yeah.
I feel like we hold on so closely. It's usually senior leadership,
Yeah.
isn't it? And the
Yeah.
teams of one, like what's it selling? How's this tying
Yeah.
back to a business goal? How's this making the business bigger?
Yeah.
How do you hold the line when the pressure to convert is always there?
I think if you have pressure to convert, it's not going to work, because that just is not what Substack is for in my experience. There are ways to do it for a brand. There are ways you can partner with Substack influencers, and you can work the traditional way. But for a branded Substack, it is expecting a lot of people to, Substack is typically longer form, obviously, than like a TikTok. To expect people to either come onto the platform and dedicate time to reading your newsletter, or even more intrusive, to have a newsletter pop up in their inbox and expect them to open it and read it, you're asking a lot of someone. If they feel like they're being sold to, why would they open it? There are a million other places where they're being sold to throughout the day. That I wouldn't open that as a consumer. I mute things and send things to spam. We don't want to be sent to spam. So I think the biggest thing is our leadership team recognizes the value in Substack for, I think, community building, ultimately. It's really about going deeper with our community and strengthening that connection. And of course, people are looking at who's reading this, how many people are reading this, but our team is very used to seeing many, many, many zeros at the end of engagement metrics. So on, Instagram and everything, this is not that. There are not millions and millions and millions of people even on the platform. Mm-hmm. So we're really just looking at how many people open the newsletter and the quality of the responses that we're getting, and also in real life, because we do events and things where we get feedback from people in real time. So I think the pressure there has been eliminated for me anyway. I think if you have a leadership team that is expecting conversion from this, I would reconsider whether this is the right move. Truly, honestly. And I'm sure there are brands that either have done it or will do it. I just have not seen firsthand someone I feel like is really like killing it in selling through Substack as a brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so important, especially for those of you guys watching who aren't on Substack and maybe here because you're curious to learn more how it might work for you to align those expectations.
Yeah.
I
I mean, there is so much value in it.
Yeah,
It's just hard to measure, I think,
yeah,
the value. It's not a specific number, you
a
know.
different value.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Now, a lot of brands, I say a lot, more brands are jumping on Substack. And I'm seeing
Yeah.
a bunch of celebrities on there too. Like I know Charlie XCX is on there,
Yeah.
Pamela
Yeah.
Anderson's on
I love
there.
Pamela Anderson.
She's so
Her
cool.
words of wisdom every day. There was one point when I was reposting, restacking them daily, and then I was like, I need to slow down because I look like a stalker. But she's amazing. I love
She's
Pamela.
so cool.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying seeing how different brands are approaching
Yeah.
and celebrities are like approaching Substack. Um, I do feel like over the past year, maybe longer, it's become like a real hot and trendy
Yeah.
place to just go for the sake of it.
Yeah.
So for those guys watching us in the audience who, they're interested in Substack, maybe because it's hot and trendy, or maybe because there is a genuine opportunity for them, they want to make the case internally for that long-term play.
Yeah.
How would you pitch? What would your advice be to those guys watching who would love to give it a go, but maybe don't know where to start?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think it all comes down to community building and brand building as
Mhm.
opposed to conversion. And I
Yeah.
think um, if you can make the case for that there is value in making people feel a certain way or making people feel like they're part of your world and they're included, um, I think that's where you need to start. And I think there are probably some old school people who wouldn't necessarily see the value in that. But hopefully you can make the case for it because it is so important. And the brands that we're seeing do really well are the brands where they build this world and people feel like they're a part of it. And this is just one more way to do that and to do it a little deeper and um, yeah, a little deeper.
For sure. World building as a
Yeah,
concept has been my obsession
love it.
for, let's say, 6 months since I first someone discovered it, and I read about it all the time. I feel like I
Yeah,
mention it in every post, and
yeah,
even I'm a mighty and small team of three.
okay.
We are on paper, I guess, a B2B brand.
Yeah,
Everything I do, I'm always thinking about how we can expand the PLM world and universe.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
love seeing how, especially like brands like Rare,
yeah,
are applying that and being so much more than just amazing products or a brand, but something
yeah.
that you step into. So it's cool to hear how Substack can be in
Yeah,
that
I mean
world too.
it is that club bathroom. It's the meeting place, that this is the gathering space.
Mhm.
And there's no cost of entry. There is, resources that are required, but fundamentally, it's free. So
It is. I love it. Those are all my questions, guys. So you guys watching, if you do have any questions for Mackenzie while you have her on your screen in front of you, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A. If you're watching on our YouTube replay, I mentioned all of Mackenzie's interviews that I stalked across the internet, so I'll also link those
oh,
somewhere down in the is it description box on YouTube. I'm not a local round here, so in the box somewhere on the screen. um, we do have a good question from Rachel, actually,
yeah,
because I know I didn't kind of distinguish. When it comes to Substack, you've got your different types of posts, right? You've
yeah,
got your articles, which are obviously your
yes,
long form, they go to the
yes.
inboxes, and then you've got your posts in your
Mm,
feed
the
as
notes.
well.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you do both? What does that balance and approach look like?
Yeah, so we do both. And I just started doing chats the other day.
Mm.
So there's that too. But when I'm talking about posts, I'm really talking about newsletters because those are the things
Yeah.
that I'm planning ahead for that require research and sourcing imagery and talking to people and all of that. So those are when I say posts, that's what I mean. But for notes are really, we're really flying by the seat of our pants there. I mean, those are like, as something comes up in the office, I'm posting. I'm noting.
Yeah.
Whatever the term is, I'm noting it. So, or if something, I have a thought and, there was something recently I was asking if anyone had any unusual makeup tips to share. I was crowdsourcing for something, but it was like a Tuesday morning and I'm like, I might as well ask our community. And so threw that up there. So that's really loosey goosey, but the posts themselves are more formal and planned.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen chats on Substack. Is that a bit like a broadcast channel? What does that look like?
Yeah, it is. It's very similar. Yeah, so we did one the other day. Just again, it was like I was sitting at my desk and I asked the question, if you were on a desert island and could bring a book, a snack, and a rare beauty product, what would you bring? And like people got really creative. And I mean, that's just a fun moment through the day for me also, to connect with the community and hopefully for them to connect with each other. And people were responding and commenting on book choices and snack choices. So, trying to foster that sense of community too. But the value there is simply feel good moment.
Yeah. What would your book, snack, and rare beauty product on a desert island be, Mackenzie?
Okay, so I this is nothing original at this point, but I just finished Yesteryear.
Oh,
Is
I've
it?
seen this everywhere.
This is
Everywhere.
not the I'm like a historical fiction nerd, and this kind of like straddles that. And this is not the type of book I would normally read. Loved it, like loved it.
Ooh.
So highly recommend that. Snack, that's a hard one. It's got to be something with bread, a fresh baguette or
Oh,
something,
stunning. Good choice.
Um, and then product, I mean, this is hard. Desert Island. Probably mascara.
Yeah,
It's got to be mascara.
good picks.
Yeah, it's so good and it's water resistant, so,
Oh,
if
I've
you're on
yet
an
to
island.
try. Yeah, a humid island. Hopefully a bit of sun there. I see it. I see the
Yeah,
vision.
yeah, I love it.
These are some really good questions. Good question from Gemma, a bit more like practical, I suppose. So Gemma has asked, have you discovered a sweet spot for article length, or are you not strict on this aspect? It kind of depends on the individual content and subject.
Not strict at all. When we do Q&As, they tend to be a little bit longer, because a lot of times the people I'm interviewing are really interesting. And of course, I could edit it down, but I also feel like if you want to read it all, it's here. And if you want to duck out early, it's fine. So I would rather provide more information for people who are really engaged. But no, we haven't. I don't have a formula for that. I really am going for, some of them are really picture heavy. One of our best performing ones, Selena's office and our company office was featured in Architectural Digest, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning, and the spread is amazing. But I juxtaposed that with like actual pictures from the office with like our snack wall. There's dog beds in every corner. Someone asked to see the bathroom, so I took a picture of the bathroom. So that was really photo heavy and not fancy. I mean, it was literally me walking around my iPhone. Like, I don't have a team to edit my picture. Like, it is what it is. But that was like not very word heavy. It was a lot of just like, here's what you see and here's the like stuff you don't see. And that got a lot of engagement as well. So I think that's another one where I haven't cracked a code on like an ideal length, and we're really just going for, if we have something interesting that requires more words, we use more words, and if we can do it with less, we do it with less.
Perfect. If it's good, it's good. right?
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. We have two questions I know we semi touched on in our kind of starting questions. One from Selena Rogers,
Okay.
and another question from Vivalin. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Beautiful name. Um, I'll kind of paraphrase and merge the two. So Selena has said Rare Beauty is a brand that has been very strong on other platforms, whether that's through earned content from influencers and happy customers alike, or your organic. What would you say Substack offers to you as a brand, and also the audience that other platforms can't, in brackets, yet? And then Vivian has added, oh no, sorry, has added, what made Substack feel additive to that current ecosystem over taking it away? So, what can it add that your other platforms don't?
I think it's quite honestly, it's length, it's the space, and I mean that literally. It is that when someone's scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, the expectation is that they're scrolling, and everything's fleeting. You've got them for 5 seconds, 15 seconds. Um, with Substack, the nature of the platform is people come to read, people come to dedicate time to it, and they want to sit and read something. And so um, it really is just a space where we have a longer attention span typically, and therefore are able to do longer form storytelling, whether that's visually or through interviews or words. So it really felt like it definitely to not there's no one internally who feels like it's taking away from anything. That would be problematic, especially because our other platforms our teams are incredible and they're so successful. So like definitely we would never want to do something that jeopardizes any of their hard work. But it's more of again, it's things that just don't make sense for those platforms. So it's either details about things that wouldn't make sense on those platforms, or it's interviews with our mental health partners where there really just literally isn't attention span for it on TikTok. So we can do these longer form interviews about mental health, for example. And we did last year around the holidays, we did a series with our mental health partners about how to survive the holidays. The holidays are notoriously one of the hardest times for mental health, and we see lots of people struggling. So it was like a series of how to deal with difficult family members, how to have difficult conversations when you're all together, what to do if you're lonely during the holidays. Those are things that wouldn't make sense on Instagram. So we're really looking at it as it truly is something completely different. We're trying to give you a reason to come to this other place and join us. And that means taking a different angle on a story that we might have told somewhere else, or just simply going deeper into it, of the why and the how and all of those details that you wouldn't see somewhere else.
That's such cool insight. And when you were sharing the story about your mascara testing as
Yeah.
well, I like one absolutely so interesting. Can't wait to read that once
Yeah.
it's up. And your
Yeah.
colleague's
Yeah.
back from holiday, so we can get
I
it
know. I feel so bad.
going.
I know.
But I see how Substack really gives that a place, because I
Yeah.
imagine if you wanted to do something like that that's actually engaging and worth the
Yeah.
effort on other platforms, the production value that that would take to bring to life is so much larger than that of a Substack. So
Yeah.
I really
Well,
see how it fits in that ecosystem.
totally. And it's like on Instagram you say, "Hey, this mascara works on every lash type. Look, here are pictures of all the lash types." Then you go to Substack to understand how did we figure that out? Why is that important to us? Why is it important to our community? So it's really they do complement each other. We don't see it as one taking away from the other.
That's really cool. Our final question is again from Vivian. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, my love. If I'm not, let me know in the chat. This question is, and I guess more of an observation question, because I know you consume on Substack as well as write and create.
Yes. Yes.
Um, do you think Substack works best for brands that already have a strong community that I guess you can carry from new places or other places? Or do you think it can also help building one from scratch? So a brand new brand, maybe they don't have community on other platforms just yet. Where would you set that?
I will be honest that when we started this, and even to this day, our social team is so good at what they do, and they have like really set a really set strategy, and everything is in place, and they're fantastic. The way I'm working right now on Substack, it's very difficult for me to go and say, "Hey, I have this thing coming out on Tuesday. Can you post about it on Instagram, for example, and try to drive traffic that way?" It's just not going to happen at this point. So we are not taking tons of we're not seeing tons of our community from other platforms come on Substack. We are seeing people find us on Substack. Not completely, there is some crossover, of course, and but all that to say, I do think that brands that don't have a strong community outside could find their footing on Substack, so long as you have something really interesting to say, because Substack is filled with so many people looking for so many things, that you just need to find your people. And sometimes those people are not on Instagram or TikTok, and maybe they are on Substack, and that's where you just need to, that's the perfect place to build that community. So I don't necessarily think you need to have one to have the other.
Absolutely. I think that Substack, I really underestimated it as a discoverability tool as well. I kind of just assumed, I did our posts on like LinkedIn, like woohoo,
Yeah,
like PLMs on Substack, like you guys come over here.
exactly.
But especially the home. I'm not a Substack native, so I don't know all the terms, but like the home feed,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just full of new people, and the algorithm serves me. Everything on Substack's great, so it serves me the great stuff anyway. But
Yep.
yeah, I really underestimated it as a discoverability tool to find new people. So I see how it can work both ways.
And even as a reader, that's my favorite way to use it, because you can change your settings so that it's either your notes, which is kind of like your Twitter feed, is either people you follow, or it's just anyone that the algorithm thinks you might be interested in. So I usually switch mine to anyone I might be interested in, and that's how I fall down these like rabbit holes of new people and new conversations and even new subjects that I didn't think necessarily I was interested in. Um, and I think other people are using it that way as well. So, people stumble upon what you're doing, and you've got a new community member that comes in and discovers your brand.
I would say I use it in a very similar capacity as well.
Yeah.
And I also love, how brands and writers can recommend, like, if you like me, here are my
Yeah.
recommendations. Like, I
Yeah.
love that system as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
It's such a great one as well. Consumers to find new people, but I
Yeah.
guess as a brand as well to be distributed through that recommendation
Yes,
is
absolutely.
equally as powerful. I love that. Mackenzie, thank you so much for your time
Thank
today.
you. This was so fun.
I've loved it. When I reached out to you on LinkedIn, I was like texting my best friend, and I was like, I have discovered Mackenzie on the internet and I would love to do a session with her. She is so cool. And you know what? I was like, I'm actually really nervous. I'm really nervous. So today's
Well,
meant a lot to me.
you knew I was nervous because I was messaging you last night about it. So I also was worried about like the technical side, but we did it, and we're
You did the
only
best job.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course. No, thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, it means so much. And especially like your honest insights about what it takes behind the scenes. And I think hopefully for you guys to see someone at like your director level, Mackenzie, yeah, again, just sharing those really transparent insights is
Yeah.
it's nice to see. It's not
Thank
something
you
we
so much.
see
It was so fun. I
often.
love this. I
Me
love it.
too. So,
All right.
Mackenzie, thank you so much for joining. And you guys watching, thank you so much for spending this whole month with me. I feel quite emotional that it's our last session together, but it's not the last one ever. I'm sure I will do this again next year. We will be back. So it means so much to me to have spent this month with you guys. So until next time, I will see you guys soon. I'll see you on socials, and I'll see you later. See you guys.